Welcome to One Old Man's Opinion, episode 19. I'm the old man. And today I'm going to have to work off of my teleprompter. It's about the important points of our raid into Venezuela to extract their so-called president. It wasn't just about a few boats full of cocaine coming north. In fact, it's beginning to look like that was just the top-level excuse. There was a lot of stuff going on in Venezuela that made it much more important overall than just the drug traffic. Now, the drug traffic's important, of course, but that's not the whole story. It's not even the bottom line of the story. The drug trafficking that got interrupted when we pulled that off was not the little bit of drug trafficking that they did coming north into the United States or north to Mexico to go across the border into the United States. That was not the biggest part of their drug business. The biggest part of their drug business was going to Iran. And Iran was selling drugs all over the Middle East through Hezbollah and their other terrorist so-called, organizations. That's how they were a big part of how they were financing what they were doing. And Iran was not the only player. Russia was in on it. China was in on it because China was getting 80% of its oil. 80% of its oil from Venezuela. And they were trying, that was all sanctioned oil, so they weren't supposed to be buying any oil from Venezuela. They weren't supposed to be buying any Russian oil. But they did. And that's because the Russians, through the tanker fleet, the ghost tankers, or what did they call them, shadow tankers, they would send Russian oil and Iranian oil over to Venezuela. All three of them were sanctioned. They'd mix up some of the heavy goop from Venezuela with some of the lighter stuff from the other places, and make a mix that would work in most countries' refineries, and which did not look at all like the original stuff from Venezuela. They would throw that on a shadow tanker, take off to China. So China got their oil at a deep discount illegally. Russia got to sell their oil illegally. Iran got to sell their oil illegally. Venezuela got to sell their oil illegally. Wow, Mom, wow, yeah. So what we did was we damaged the shadow fleet. It doesn't have a generic place to operate out of. That was like the pivotal point, was Venezuela. And the Iranians have lost their drug supply, so their finances go in the tank. The Russians have lost a lot of their oil sales. That they're tanking too. The Chinese don't get their oil at a deep discount anymore, so their profits are off. And they have to play nice to get regular oil from regular folks. And the Venezuelans, well, they got rid of a dictator, and it remains to be seen if they'll get a decent government out of it. We genuinely hope so. We're trying to see that it doesn't tank. It's not nation building, but it is nation rebuilding. Nation rebuilding worked in Germany. Nation rebuilding worked in Japan. Nation building, not so good. But we're not trying to change the culture in Venezuela. We're going to leave. They are civilized folks. They've got a long history of being a democratic environment. So if we can get that propped back up there, it should stick. It was, the best I can describe it is it was a geopolitical and economic masterstroke. We just covered every base all at once. All of the irritating little pains in the butt that have been bothering us around the world have all taken a hit. All at the same time, all over the course of a couple of hours. Of course, it took thousands of hours of planning, and it took thousands of hours of rehearsal. But we've shown the Russians and the Chinese that our military can do things they can't even dream of. And we've tightened up their behavior a little bit. Don't know if you can ask for much more than that. That's one old man's opinion. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm going to talk about that woman who managed to get herself shot by trying to run over an ICE agent, although I don't know if she was actually trying to or not, but she managed to. She hit him. I've watched five, maybe 6 videos from different angles, and the one that you saw on the networks, the first one that you saw on the networks from behind the car on the left-hand side, you could take that either way. You could say, oh, well, he jumped out of the way and she had the wheel turned to get away from him, and it wasn't really an attempt to run over the guy, and so he shouldn't have shot her. And that it looks at, you could look at it that way. I looked at it and I went, ooh, this is not nice. But then the other videos started to trickle in, including the one that was on his body cam video. And there is no doubt at all he was hit by the car. She wasn't just crawling her way to get away. She hit the accelerator and took off. For the first few feet anyway, plenty fast enough to catch him so he couldn't get out of the way. And then, of course, she'd been shot, so the car was out of control. It kind of drifted off and crunched into the back of another car. But we will never know, I don't think we will ever know, if she really wanted to hit him, or if she was trying to escape, she panicked, or what he was thinking, whether he really felt like his life was in danger. I mean, if somebody had come and crunched into me with the car, I probably would, but then I'm not that guy. So we won't really ever know the whole story, the truth, because the truth died in that car. But we can see lots of ways that didn't have to happen. The mainstream media could have not beaten a drum trying to incite violence, which they finally got. So they could what? So they could report on it? So they could spin it, make it look like ICE was the bad guy again? It's not the country I grew up in. At any rate, we don't know what was going through her mind. There was a cop trying to open the door to get her out, to arrest her. And he was yelling at her to stop and get out of the car. Was she trying to get away from him? Was she so excited she didn't even see him? Was she... Well, we don't know. But she was being stupid. I have to say that. What she did was not bright. Don't do anything that looks like violence that's directed at a cop. Federal cop, state cop, local cop. Don't do it. A friend of mine was shot 6 times in the head. He was face down with his arm under him and a cop on top of him, and because he was still trying to get up, he got shot. Do not fight the cops. Come back another day. Get him in the court of law. Do something. Suffer with it if you have to. But you put your life on the line if you mess with them. That's not a very smart thing to do. And it's sometimes tragic. Sometimes it's tragic. That's one old man's opinion. Travel with God.